My name is Romero. I consult educational entities on international educational issues. Currently, I represent Rio Salado Community College on issues related to their international program with Sonora, Mexico. I've had several roles. Back in 1979, I was asked by then the director of the Department of Economic Security to attend a meeting in Hermosillo on behalf of the governor. The commission was relatively new at the time, or rather the relationship between the Arizona Department of Economic Security and the commission was relatively new. So I was asked to attend. I attended a couple of meetings, and then there was a change in government, and then I ceased to attend those meetings. But basically then it was to represent the director of DES before the commission and peers in Sonora, Mexico. Then in 1985, I was representing the health department for a couple of years. Then in 1995, that's when I really became active, because that's when I was appointed to the Education Committee of the Commission. And so since then, I have been an active member of the Commission in that committee. Everything that we have done has ultimately impacted both students in Arizona and Sonora. One is the work that we did in working with the Mexican government to change their law so that English language instruction would be available to students not only in junior high school but also in their high school. The Mexican government, based on the work that the commission did, changed the law, and now they have a program which starts literally in kindergarten and goes all the way to their high school graduation program. So their children are being prepared in the English language, which is, I think, a substantial accomplishment. Then recently, we worked with the university, Technological University of Hermosillo, and we worked with Rio Salado Community College to set up a news bureau at UTH, at the Universidad Toluca Hermosillo, that is part of Radio KJAS. Now that is important because it brings both communities together. It brings Sonora and Arizona together. We have now an avenue by which we can bring news material from Sonora into Arizona, and then vice versa. The Arizona-Mexico Commission, again, I'm going back 40 years now, and I can say that back 40 years ago, what I saw were committee meetings once a year, twice a year, and very little in between. Since then, I see a lot of activity in all of the committees. Therefore, there is real work that is being done. There are real accomplishments that are being done, which is impressive. If you look at the work that has been done along the border in facilitating the growth of the border stations, for example, look at the work that the public safety sector has done on both sides of the border, look at what the Education Committee has done on both sides of the border. The work is really impressive. That shows a maturity of the work that the Commission has done, which has a very positive impact on Arizona as well as Sonora. Since I began with the Commission, I have been sold. I was born on the border. I was born in Douglas, raised in Agua Prieta, Sonora, right across the border. So the work that the Commission does, it fulfills a mission of the Commission, which I enjoy working with them, but also it also achieves some personal goals that I have seen the need for over the years as a resident of the border community. The commission is really has a sister commission in Sonora, Mexico, and both of those commissions have a particular goal, and that is to provide avenues for economic development on both states, and also to provide for an understanding, better understanding, cultural understanding by the residents of both states, both sides of the border. And I believe that both the creation of avenues for economic development and the social development has occurred. We've seen people that regularly participate in the commission that, they're no longer associates, they're friends. And a lot can be accomplished once you're working with friends rather than associates. And that has been good for the commission. We've done everything from establishing an English learning program in Sonora to establishing partnerships between colleges and universities on both sides of the border, high schools on both sides of the border. We have had science events for kids in high schools in Sonora and in Arizona, which has been very satisfying. We have created the opportunity for educators in Sonora and Arizona sit and talk about what it takes to make this region, which the commission calls the mega region, made up of Arizona and Sonora, what it takes to create a population of people that will be educated and successful in future years. The partnerships are such that at one time the commission created the opportunity for a certification on both states of architects. If you studied in Sonora architecture and graduated from one of the universities in architecture and was certified down there, you could bring that certificate into Arizona and be certified here, and vice versa. If you graduated from an Arizona institution of architecture, you could then take that certificate and be certified in Mexico. Therefore, there were many architects that live here that worked in Rocky Point, for example, and many architects that live in Sonora that have worked on projects here, which is very rich and fulfilling. That is still a project that is ongoing, with the expectation that at some point in time there will be joint certification of other professions, computer technology, etc., etc. It all happens with people talking and saying there is value to education down there as there's value here. Education in Sonora is as good there as it is here. A person that is a professional in Sonora is considered a professional here. Therefore, there should be joint certification. I mean, we're neighbors.